Today, we'd like to briefly talk about one of our projects that we used photography as a research, dissemination, communication, and let's say advocacy tool, because we believe photos are sometimes stronger than words and actually easier to understand by many people when compared to complex statistics. So our project entitled REACH is a regional initiative which aims to bridge the gap in health literacy and healthcare access among refugee and local youth via digital technologies in Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan. And in this project, we are using community-based participatory action research and co-design approaches to develop an mHealth application. So I just would like to briefly talk about the Photovoice approach, which was developed by Dr. Carolyn Wang as a participatory research method designed to empower members of vulnerable groups by giving them a chance to tell their stories and have their voices heard. So in this method, participants take photos of their everyday realities concerning the research topic. They participate in group discussions, just like in focus group discussions, and they talk about their photos and their meanings. And then the participants work with researchers to reach out to decision makers to create a change. So, I just would like to mention our Photovoice study in Turkey. The other ones are still ongoing, but we completed the one in Turkey, which aimed to assess refugee and local youths' access to health information and healthcare in addition to their perspectives on using digital health technologies. So here are some photos from the groups. We worked with a professional photographer and also academics and local and refugee youth. We had brainstorming sessions and how to use photography, how to reflect the realities of life. And here are some of the photos that the young refugees and local youth work with our professional photographer, and they take photos and then they discuss those photos in small groups. Here are other photos from the group discussions. And I'd like to leave it here and give the floor to Yanis.
Thanks, Özge. So I'll briefly walk you through the way that we disseminated our research findings. So when we designed the project back in 2018 and 2019, what we wanted to do was to organize first a series of stakeholders meetings where we could bring together people from the Ministry of Health, people from various organizations, the refugees, the migrants, but also local stakeholders to discuss the findings and hopefully move the needle. But because our research tool was photography, it was always intended that we were going to be organizing photo exhibits, and two of them, in fact, one in Istanbul and one in New York. Incidentally, a year ago, March 16 would have been the photo exhibit in Istanbul, but then, of course, the pandemic happened. And so we needed to move everything, the stakeholder meetings, as well as the photo exhibit, on an online format. Next slide, please. So instead of March 16, we moved the photo exhibit to June 22nd in a online virtual format. Next. And so it had disadvantages and it had advantages. Obviously, the disadvantage is that you didn't have to face-to-face contact. You couldn't talk to people. You didn't have the side meetings. But the advantages, eventually, we were able to expand our reach much, much more, inviting people who probably could not have traveled to Istanbul or to New York. And so here we are showing the June 22nd, the original Istanbul exhibit in partnership with CGC Istanbul. And so the way that it was designed in reality would have been panel discussion with experts, followed by walking around a space where people would be interacting with the photos. So what we did instead is we had the online Zoom with the panel of experts that you can see here, and then there was a virtual visit. Just like what we're doing after this with Wonder, we were able to find a format where basically all the people who attended were able to walk in a virtual space and go and look at the photographs. Next slide, please. There was also an exhibit in New York that we wanted to do this, ended up becoming a webinar that we entitled Health Promotion via Digital Technologies Among Young Refugees, also in partnership with Columbia Global Centers. Next slide, please. And so again, it was really good because we were able to have access to a lot of experts that maybe would not have been able to travel to New York. Next. And so now I'm just going to quickly show you 3 images so that you have an idea of what was documented. So here is the first one. In all of the, in the format, we always had a photo and then a text to accompany from the person who took the photograph or one of the local youth who was working with us on this project. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but for example, this one, an undocumented migrant who does not speak Turkish, works in difficult conditions and lives in the workplace. So as other speakers in this forum have said before, photography obviously much more powerful than the words. Next. This one also is interesting. When planning health services, go back. When planning health services, young people who can never leave home should also be considered. For example, a young girl who is not allowed to leave the house, a teenager living with a disability, or a stigmatized young person. Okay, to the last slide, please. All right, I want to thank you for your attention. I'm just bringing up the website links so that you can see the virtual walk through the exhibit as well as the webinars. Thank you.